Today, I want to talk about the best remedy for dry, wrinkled hands, as well as skin in general. Well, I recently found some updated information on this that I want to share with you that I think you'll be quite excited about. The people use these moisturizers and they keep putting them on their hands and their face. And of course, the next day, the effect is gone. They have to keep doing it over and over and over. If you look at the labels and read the ingredients in most of these moisturizers, they nearly all have alcohol. Alcohol dries and dehydrates your skin. And I don't think people realize that when they put lotion into the hands or on their face, it gets absorbed. It goes into the bloodstream and then it ends up in your liver. There are a lot of different things you can use that are natural. Vitamin E, you can use various like coconut oil, you can use tallow. But what I want to talk about today is something a little different. It's called hyaluronic acid. A lot of your cells, if not all of your cells, make this very specific a compound. And hyaluronic acid is not just in your skin, it's in your joints. It helps hold 1,000 times its weight in water. Now, as far as it relating to your skin, if you kind of envision having this body size wetsuit, that's what it'll look like. It's a very thin layer and it's in the deep layer of your skin. It keeps your skin looking youthful. It's also involved in wound repair and also repair after sunburn. It actually increases if you have enough vitamin A. And this could be why when someone's deficient in vitamin A, they get like dry eyes, for example, or even dry skin. But even the fluid inside your eye has a lot of hyaluronic acid. So what people don't realize is as they age, especially when they start to get 40, 45, 50 years old, it starts to go down and down and down and down to the point where you're 80 years old, you've lost 80% of your hyaluronic acid. I don't know if you've ever heard of the disease called progeria. Kids with progeria lose 20 times as much hyaluronic acid as someone who doesn't have that disease. So you can see in this image of someone with a young, youthful skin. Then if you compare that to someone that has older skin, you can see it kind of is wrinkled and it's missing something, hyaluronic acid. Now there's certain clinics that you can go to get this substance injected into the skin. People apply it topically. Some people take it orally. That's what I'm going to talk about today. Some people will tell you that it cannot be absorbed if you consume it. That's absolutely not true. You don't absorb a lot of it, but you do absorb some of it, like 2.5% of it. And that can be just enough to replace what you're losing as you age. Now, Connie Chung did this whole show on hyaluronic acid, and she interviewed people in Japan because in a certain village, you had 100-year-old people that were still working. And apparently it was attributed to a certain root that they were consuming that was very high in hyaluronic acid. Let's say you're 45 years old, you might have between like 14 to 15 grams of this hyaluronic acid in your body. By the time you reach 80 years old, you might only have like 3.6 grams. So based on that data, it might be a good idea to start taking it as a supplement. Now, one thing I would caution you on, you don't want to do what a friend of mine did. He had this idea that he was going to take high doses. Okay. So he took, I think it was like 3,000 or 4,000 milligrams of this stuff per day. You don't want to do that because it swells up in your body. Remember, it holds water, right? So he took way too much and he started having some serious problems. And he basically found he had to drink actually straight brandy to help dissolve some of this gel that was plugging everything up. And so he did survive. And there's more to that story, which I'll leave in another video, but you just want to take smaller amounts of it. So typically an average person would want to take, 200 milligrams per day. But also what I'm going to recommend is to get it topically, but make sure you get the one that does not have alcohol. And what you do is you wet your hands, okay? And then you put a couple drops in your hands, rub it together, and just rub it throughout your hands and do that like once or twice a day. I'd also recommend that you just put a little tiny water in your hand, put a couple more drops, rub it into your hands, and rub it through your face as well to help with hydration. The other important thing that I always emphasize is that you really need to work on creating internal health. starting with the basic eating, right? It has to be good foods, nutrient dense. And so, in other words, I'm recommending the healthy version of the ketogenic diet to make sure that you're covering all bases. So, for that information, you should watch this video right here. Check it out.